Hi everyone, today let's talk about Walmart earnings, then we'll go over the economic calendar and Fed futures, then we'll go over Max Payne, then the charts, then we'll finish up with my abysmal results for the day and my thoughts going into tomorrow's session. Don't forget to check out the Patreon and the Twitter linked in the description. And if you like trading stocks and options and making money, definitely like and subscribe. I make videos like this every single day that the markets are open as well as Sundays, so make sure you hit the bell so you don't miss out on any future episodes. Welcome to the Portfolio Bulletin. Let's get started. So Walmart crushed earnings. They beat on the top and bottom line and raised guidance. Net sales rose by 3.5%. They raised their full year earnings expectation to $6.20. Looking at earnings, you can see they beat by 15 cents. And then revenue beat by almost $4 billion, so huge beat on the top and bottom line. And they said that grocery sales have offset the reduced sales in clothing and technology. So overall, Walmart doing extremely well. Moving over to the economic calendar here, you can see initial jobless claims came in lower than expectations. This allowed markets to rally a little bit. And then Philly manufacturing also came in better than expectations. Existing home sales missed, but not by very much. And then tomorrow here, we have quite a bit going on. So we have some FOMC members. We have Fed Powell speaking at 11 o'clock. That's obviously going to be the biggest impact for tomorrow, so watching this one closely here at 11, and we'll talk about it in tomorrow's video. Looking at the June Fed futures, you can see this continues to drift towards that potential for a 25 basis point hike, which is extremely interesting considering that the markets are rallying super aggressively. Seems like everything is going up, including the bad things like interest rates and the potential for more hikes, but markets continue to rally. Moving over to Max Payne, you can see Max Payne actually went up a little bit to 407. Amount of options hasn't really changed, and put call ratio still up here at 2.16, so down slightly from yesterday. And we are very close to this 420 call wall. I don't think that we're going to get above that level. 416, 417, 418 even. This zone does seem very likely. That way, all of these puts to the downside do expire worthless. And then all these calls to the upside also expire worthless. This seems like the target at this point, 416, 417, all the way up to 418 in that range for tomorrow, which is basically where we already are on the day. Moving over to the charts, starting with the S&Ps here on the hour and the 12-hour. You can see we rallied super aggressively just like yesterday, so we retested 414.69, that area held. We rallied up to resistance at 418.12, rejected from there back into the mid-range, and then found a rally into the end of day, taking out that level, looking super bullish. My next trend line is up here at 420.81, and then we have 421.85 above that, so super bullish. Remembering that 420 is that call wall, and 416, 417, even up to 418 would be a very good finish on the day. Maybe we see a continuation rally, test that 420, maybe even 421, and then we get a clear rejection from that level back into this 417, 418 level. Overall, still super bullish, and you have to respect that, but understanding that we're coming into some key resistance, and we have that big options expiration tomorrow. Moving over to the NASDAQ here on the 4-hour and the daily chart, you can see we rallied super aggressively again, and I definitely underestimated the rally here today. We talked about this being super bullish yesterday, and I just did not trade it well, which is unfortunate. Got squeezed a little bit and definitely should have been making money, but I did not. So otherwise, you can see here, broke that next level, looking to retest 337.95. We have already taken out the August high here now. We're testing these lows going all the way back to April of 22. So we'll see how this plays out. I was watching this as a bearish rising wedge. We're now breaking out from here. We're waiting to see if this is going to be a fake out breakout. And if it is, this is going to be a colossal breakdown. Of course, that is not what's happening right now. We're still super bullish. You have to respect it as a breakout from here. Apple also had a similar setup, and then it broke out to the upside and still has not broken down. So it's absolutely possible that this is a bearish rising wedge that ends up breaking out and holding. So absolutely possible. But I am watching it here, and you can see on the daily chart, we're super bought here, similar to what we saw going back to February, before we had a pretty substantial down move in terms of overbought conditions. So keeping an eye on this one, definitely bullish, but definitely overbought. Moving over to the Russell and the Dow here on the 4-hour, you can see the Russell broke out. We're above the major resistance at 176. We're also above 177.33 here after hours. We tested that level during market hours, closed just below it, and after hours we're above that level now. Momentum, bullish, getting close to overbought on the 4-hour, but still super bullish. We took out this high going back to May 10th. We're taking out the high going back to May 1st. And now we're getting back into this range in the middle of April. Overall, looks pretty bullish. Dow still kind of sloping downwards. We did break this trend line, which I was watching. We did get above my resistance at 335.91. So technically you have to be bullish here based on my rules. Looking up to 339.11. We'll see if that plays out. If it breaks down from this level, looking for support at the trend line 334.59 or 332.44 below that. Moving over to the equal weighted S&Ps, you can see we got another bullish day coming off of this trend line, and this does look more bullish now. We're kind of watching this as a left shoulder head, right shoulder type setup, and that still certainly could come to fruition, but we would need to break this trend line, come down to horizontal support and break that level as well. But now you can see S&Ps going higher, taking out the highs from February. And the equal weighted ETF is actually showing more bullishness here recently. Momentum tipping towards bullish. RSI crossing the 50 line, looking more bullish. So overall, we're getting a little bit more participation from the equal weighted on this rally. Moving over to Apple and Tesla, you can see Apple breaking out here again. So trend support is holding, looking at 176.13 here right at the August high as the next potential resistance. Have to expect that we're going to hit that tomorrow. If that level breaks, we have 179.61 to the upside. So see how that plays out. Momentum super bullish. And this is that structure I was talking about. I was watching this as a rising wedge. As we were rising, we overthrew that peak, broke down below the trend and below this wedge. Looked like we were potentially getting that reversal, and then it held, and then we kind of just chopped right through that zone. So maybe this is something that we're going to see on the NASDAQ. Absolutely possible, even though it looks like a rising wedge right now. Otherwise, looking at Tesla, nothing really new here. We rallied up to resistance and the 200 SMA here on the 4-hour chart. If that level breaks down, we have trend resistance up here at 187.19, which would be a pretty substantial move from where we are now. Moving over to staples and discretionary here, you can see staples continues to break down. Tested my level here at 75.40, coming off of that 77.50 level. So we've gotten that first price target. Now we'll see what happens if this area holds. Maybe we come back up, make a lower high, double top, something like that in the zone. If we just break straight down, we have the 74.74 level here at the 200 SMA. Overall, still doing what we thought on staples. Discretionary, on the other hand, breaking out really dramatically. Gapped up, retested trend, moving higher. We have 153.90 to the upside, which is the high going back to February 16th. So we'll see what happens. Still super bullish, rallying super aggressively. We are overbought here on the 4-hour chart, but this can absolutely go higher. Moving over to the two best sectors, we have technology and oil and gas. Oil and gas continues to form this double bottom, looks very strong, looking up to 124.13. If that breaks, we have 127.99 at this previous pullback. Tech also looks like that bearish rising wedge, but we're breaking out here now, looking at 160.16. We're well above the August highs here. Looking back to these highs from the end of March, early April of 2022. So seems like we're in striking distance here now, and I would expect to get to that level, the next key resistance, before we get any kind of major breakdown. We are overbought here on tech on the daily chart, but like I said before, I think we're getting that kind of blow off top type move here, and those can absolutely go further than you would expect them to. Moving over to transports here, you can see we rallied here again today, not by much, but a little bit. Big rally yesterday, hit this resistance, pulled back, tested the high from yesterday, rallied back into that zone. We're at these previous highs, clearly in the same zone that we have been in, not making new highs, still consolidating. Not much to mention here on transports. If it breaks out, looking up to 232.16, that would be interesting back in this previous consolidation. If it breaks down from support, I'll be watching down at 222.73. Moving over to semis here, you can see we are pushing up massively. 3 days in a row, massive push to the upside. This is the hourly chart here. Huge volume at the end of day as well. Looking at the weekly chart to give us some perspective, you can see we're pushing back into these highs here from March of last year. Took out my level at 133.32. If we continue higher here, I'm watching 140.04 as my next potential resistance. Might be some in here at this previous high around 134 as well. So just a little bit higher from here, but really that 140.04 is probably going to be your next key resistance. Overall, super bullish. Momentum as well as RSI looking super bullish here on the weekly chart. Big breakouts, and I would expect this to continue to go higher here on semis. Moving over to the 2-year and the 10-year, you can see yields continue to go higher, which is interesting. Tech is going higher, growth is going higher, yields are going higher. We'll talk about the dollar later, which is also going higher. It's all a little bit strange, and you can see we're definitely pricing in that potential for a next hike in June. Seems like we're drifting in that direction. 2-year testing my 426 level, 10-year well above this resistance, well above all the EMAs and SMAs here now, looking all the way up to 3 3/4 as your next resistance, which is definitely interesting. Moving over to stocks above their 50 and 200-day averages, no surprises, we went up. Momentum moving towards bullish on both charts, RSIs flipping bullish on both as well. At this point, I'm looking for the 200 to either reject from right here or move back up to the trend line, and then we'll see what happens. Similarly here on the 50-day average, you have the 200 at 52.43, or we could come up here, retest the trend line, and then potentially reject from there. We'll see how this plays out, but right now it is looking short-term bullish on both charts. Moving over to the dollar here on the hour and the daily, you can see we broke that next resistance, headed straight up to the next resistance at 103.64. Above that, we have the 144 EMA at 103.98. And then my next key resistance above that is 104.41. Momentum on the daily, super bullish. RSI, also super bullish. We continue to get overbought readings here on the dollar, but with a trend like this, you have to expect that this is going to continue until you get a true reversal type setup, and we are not seeing anything like that here on the dollar quite yet. Moving over to JNK and TLT, you can see TLT broke down. We thought this might be a local bottom, but turns out that broke down. We took out both those levels of support. We're still below all the EMAs and SMAs as well as VWAP here on the 4-hour chart, so continuing lower. We zoom out here, we're getting back to these lows from March. Next level of support is down around 101.20. So we can watch out for that, but right now looking still super bearish here on TLT. JNK not looking nearly as bearish, but it's definitely not participating in this rally that we're seeing across the major markets. We're kind of forming a little bit of a double bottom type setup here. We have similar prices to yesterday, but higher RSI reads. If this starts to break out tomorrow and equities are still going higher, that would be a little bit reassuring, but we're definitely not seeing that same kind of confirmation here with JNK quite yet. Moving over to the VIX here on the 2-hour and the 12-hour. No big surprise. We continue to channel downwards, looking at that 1575 level, looking for that double bottom setup. So if we get a little bit higher push, like we talked about on the SPY, test this next level, that rejection back into that key finish for the end of the day, that would give us a inside candle on the daily chart. And then potentially we start to see that bounce here on the VIX and that pullback on equities. That's kind of what I'm looking for next week. But like I said, still bullish on equities, still bearish here on the VIX going into tomorrow's session. Moving over to my accounts, I definitely got crushed here again. I wasn't trading as well as I should have, and there were a couple of rules I didn't follow as closely as I should have. So pretty bad day for me, one of the worst days that I've had here recently, but we'll see how it plays out tomorrow. I am super bullish going into tomorrow, at least in the morning session. We'll see how it plays out into the afternoon and into the close, but I do expect we'll go higher. We're rallying quite a bit here after hours, up about 50 cents on the Qs. I did pick up an IWM position here in my Roth at 176. The IWM looks bullish as well. We talked about that. Looking at tomorrow's positions, you can see all these puts I have on here. 331, 332, 333, 334 for tomorrow in my IRA as well as in my individual account. And then I still have some calls here at 339. We'll see how that plays out tomorrow. But only 2 calls and quite a lot of puts going into tomorrow's session, as I do expect it to continue to be pretty bullish. Let me know in the comment section what you think of the markets right now. It's definitely an interesting situation with the dollar going higher as well as yields and growth and pretty much everything going higher. Definitely like and subscribe if you got any value out of this video, and make sure you hit the bell so you don't miss out on any future episodes. Of course, none of this is financial advice. This is all for entertainment purposes. Good luck in your trading and have a great day.